Hey guys, I figured I would just briefly show off my analog gaming systems. Um, there's a little bit of dust on this thing, and as soon as the flash hits it, it shows it off. You can't really see it without that flash, but I should have cleaned it off. So Analogue is a gaming console maker that started off basically kind of like retrofitting Neo Geo MVS arcade motherboards into a consoleized version, and I believe they were using like Nintendo motherboards as well to create like a Nintendo and Famicom system, you know, the Japanese and North American versions. So this is the FPGA version, which they later started working on FPGA consoles, and now they're into like portable gaming as well with the Analog Pocket. So this is the one after they started using or stopped using the Nintendo motherboards and started using their own like FPGA system. And this is metal. It was a very expensive system. I don't know if it was around $500 or what. I can't remember. But I got the last run of these guys. This guy here is Mega SG, which is basically the Mega Drive or Sega Genesis. And this here is the, what is it called? It is the Super NT for Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. Out of all these systems, only the Nintendo came with a 8-bit do controller with the turbo buttons and all here, just like the old NES style controllers, and they're wireless. What is great about this, it has a multi-tap built in. See, there's 4 controller ports. And look on the back of this guy here. HDMI, we got S-video and RGB and component output here. Stereo audio output, headphones. We have power button there, USB, power adapter here, and this is the Famicom disk system connector. So you can use the Japanese disk system with this FPGA console. So you can play those old, disc games if you have the Famicom disk system. So probably, everything together makes this pretty, especially with the metal case and all, makes it probably one of their most expensive FPGAs. It probably is the most expensive FPGA that they have. I do not know what the consoleized Neo Geo or the original Nintendo used to go for. So now to the Genesis or Mega Drive. So it does not come with a controller. You have to buy, wireless Bluetooth or 2.4G 8-bit do, 8-bit do controllers, or you can use, check this out, the original controllers as well. It's got 2 there, and just the HDMI out and USB for power. Let me see if I can figure out how to get this. But it also works with the Sega CD. I believe these are compatible with a 32X, but you have to have their video adapter because the 32X sends the video through, I guess, RGB or something. So you have to have that video down converter or whatever that converts the HDMI signal to 240p or whatever, so you can put it on a CRT monitor. Hopefully one day Analog may make a pro version, maybe with maybe a 32X built in with wireless controller ports or receivers built in, maybe a few other features. Now all of these also have a memory card reader here, so all 3 of these consoles here you can actually hack and put your own ROMs in. Lastly, we got the Super Nintendo Famicom. You got your reset and power buttons there. Again, you can hook your original controllers, wired controllers in here, or you can get, because it does not come with a controller, you can get the 8-bit DO 2.4 gigahertz wireless controller. And it has just a wireless adapter there. No multi-tap or anything built into the Sega or the Super Nintendo version. Again, you have the memory card reader and just your HDMI and your USB power adapter there. So FPGA, the promise of FPGA is, instead of using software emulation, we use a board or certain chips to simulate authentic hardware. So technically, if you have your software part, down pat, and your processor and stuff is powerful enough, this will actually be just like using authentic hardware. The biggest difference is these guys have, like 1080p output, through HDMI. You don't have to use like an OSSC, you don't have to use like a RetroTink or anything like that to try to get the old composite or RF signal connected to a modern TV. And all of the old hardware, they're starting to have bad capacitors, and bad capacitors could be just some lines in the video or problems with audio, or it can be just like completely dead. So capacitors aren't always just dead or alive. There are in between areas as well. So recapping old consoles and then trying to figure out how to transcode or transcribe that 240p signal to 720p, 480p, 1080p, 4K or whatever. That can be sometimes expensive. There can be a lot of cables and different things. Although none of these do 4K, there are like the RetroTink 4K systems, like $700 or something, I believe. But this is, if you don't already have good hardware, and these are options, I guess, to sort of experience this. And the thing about these like wireless controllers, you can use these on original consoles, but it would be nice if, like I said, pro versions, if there ever are pro versions in the future, it'd be nice if they could have the built-in wireless controller adapters. And their latest system, the Analogue Duo, actually has, I think, 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth wireless adapters or receivers built into the system. So, their Analogue Pocket is their biggest system right now. Maybe online updating, online maybe scoreboarding, and possibly like PvP or playing with each other, 2-player plus games. Doing it online would be a really cool option for like future FPGA consoles. Most of the consoles that are third party out there do not have FPGAs. Most of them are actually emulating the machines. Usually the sound is off. Sometimes there are graphical glitches and yada yada. You don't always get a perfect thing with these guys either. Sometimes a new firmware will fix an issue. Sometimes it will also break another issue. And there could be graphical glitches, or a game may not play. But in the proper and right and the perfect circumstances, it should be as close to an authentic console without those old retro console issues. So the Nintendo systems, original Nintendos, have gotten harder to find in super good condition. And I know this. I go yard selling, or I used to a lot. I used to go flea marketing a lot, thrift storing, eBaying, um, and I used to find Nintendos everywhere. Probably as cheap as $2 a piece. You know, Sega Genesis everywhere for $5 a piece. Super Nintendos, I bought quite a few of them for around $5, maybe big lots for 15, 20, $40. Chrono Triggers, everything included, sort of Secret of Mana, Mega Man, you know, almost all the Mega Man games. But a few years ago, I said I want to find a mint condition Nintendo around here for a decent price, and I just could not find it. So I ended up getting two just because other people were looking for me Nintendo systems, but they just weren't as good a shape as I wanted them. So I grew up with all of these systems. The Nintendo, we played a lot. It introduced me to like the Dragon Warrior series and Ultima and Mega Man and a lot of the stuff. Now we played a lot like Contra and Russian Attack and all that on the arcades, but we also played them on the Nintendo. A lot of games, like hundreds of games. So we had the Super Nintendo. We played the heck out of Super Mario World and played the heck out of Final Fight until the Sega Genesis, the Sega CD system, had a version, a port of Final Fight that was like the best ports to ever have been released. Blew away the Super Nintendo port. It was almost worth the price of getting, you know, that $300 add-on. And there are a lot of games on the Sega CD that I really enjoyed, and I also enjoyed like Sonic 2 was one of my favorite of the Sonic games. But this guy also, I failed to mention, has an adapter to play Sega Master System games on it. So you can play, you know, your Alex Kidd games. You can play, you know, so many of the, you know, there's some shooters and stuff that came out just on it, I believe. Cloudmaster, I believe, is one of them. The Golden Axe Warrior, which is like a Zelda clone. Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, it had a port that was written, I believe, from the ground up that was different from the Genesis version and the NES release. And of course, the first Phantasy Star game. So you can play Phantasy Star 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this system here. Now, one of my favorites on the Super Nintendo was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. You know, I got it. I beat it like the first time I got it, you know, within the first play. And it was awesome. Very much reminiscent of like the arcade system. So, and there's, you know, all these Final Fantasy games, Lufia, and of course Chrono Trigger, and a lot of RPGs. So I think Pirates of Dark Water was pretty good as well. And there are a few shooters. I'm not really going to review the systems right now or anything. Just kind of showed them off, told you guys about them, give you a brief history, I guess, of the company, and just showing off my small collection. I really do want the Analogue Duo, though. I've had a TurboGrafx 16 back in the day, and a little later I had a Turbo Duo. I got rid of that guy, and just a few years ago I replaced the TurboGrafx 16 for the first time, and I love the system. It's awesome. So having the ability to get a CD-based system that does super graphics and arcade CDs, albeit there no, you know, jailbreak firmwares out for it yet. There may or may not be. They claim there won't be, or something like that, or there, who knows. So you have to use your original um, Hue cards, PC Engine games. I guess you would be able to burn CDs if you had to, but and EverDrives, it seemed like some people have luck finding workarounds to get their EverDrives working with it. Some people haven't. Some people claim firmware updates have disabled it. So I don't know if it's something that Analogue is working to fix or to permanently disable, or what's going on with that. But I have a nice little collection of CDs and Super CDs and Hue cards and PC Engine cards. So not everything is cheap to collect, for a lot of these systems. But having that option to have that just 1080p output and to have the wireless controller receivers built in, that seems like a nice option. I hope that they're going that way in the future, Analogue, and I hope that their Pocket system is their biggest seller, their biggest in-demand thing. So I hope that they're not just going to focus on that and stuff like that in the future. I think I've heard rumors that they could be working on another system, maybe N64 or something. We'll see. Anyway, I'm sure this video is too long, but I figured I would just show off some of my Analogue systems. Take care.